Hey everybody!
Hey everybody, welcome to a special pop-up live stream of Tarot for Today Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
and me, Banshee.
And
Welcome.
this is our past lives reading pop-up live stream. We did one a month ago, just before Halloween, and we thought it was fabulous.
And we did our own past live reading for a special video.
Right, so you can check that out too. But we know that most of you are really here to find out about your past lives.
Oh gosh, Aaliyah, you really want to try again?
Hi everybody, I see my sweet Christina and Afshan. Hey,
Your
Irish,
last one,
Libra,
Aaliyah, was kind
Acel.
of out of this world.
That it was. So we're going to get going right into it because we have limited time. We're only here 90 minutes or approximately. And for those who remember, we had basically used the Awakening Memory.
No,
Awakening Far Memory cards, which we've used before, even last year around the Halloween time. And
not quite the same way.
maybe I should let you go with this. You can explain it a little bit better or easily.
Well, this deck that I came across
It is nice to see you,
is
Afshan.
very cool because it gives a lot of different elements. It's like decks within a deck. So there's sub-decks. So there's a little deck that tells about the culture of a past life, the environment you lived in, the occupation you may have had, the theme of that life, and how you died. And so what we do is we add a couple tarot cards to each of those cards that we pull for you, and it gives a little bit more information on that aspect of, the supposed past life.
So let's get started with Aaliyah, I guess, right?
Well, yeah.
Anything else to say?
The other thing I would say is it's a very cool deck. I think it still may be available on Amazon for anybody who is interested, and I think it pairs well with the tarot. That's what we have found is
That's
we think
true.
it pairs
Yes, absolutely.
very well.
So, speaking of that past life reading we did for ourselves, it was hilarious, and I know that one or two of you out there saw that. Fun. So anyways, here we go.
Okay, Libra, can't wait. All right, well, let me go over the list as I have it. Right now, I have Aaliyah is first, and then Afshan, Acel, Libra Cusp, Irish Capricorn, and my sweet Christina.
Let's get going. All right.
Oh, yeah. Me too, Aaliyah. All right, well, so we're going to get going with you. I'm just giving this deck a shuffle. I'm going to let Mr. O shuffle this one.
Once you go green.
And I'm going to also let him pick the first one for you. So it's going to be, it's going to be his fault maybe. We'll see. This is the culture. We'll see if it's alien.
Nama space. The alien in me recognizes the alien in you.
So I will blame him. We all can.
We had so much fun last time. That was just wonderful.
Some of this may resonate,
Do you want me to cut
some
him?
of this may not. Yeah, cut them. Go ahead. Do that.
All right.
We'll just see how it goes. Okay, Mr. O. It's on you for Aaliyah. What you got?
E.T. phone home. And no, we have...
Ooh. Hey,
Greece.
wasn't that where our last culture was?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Blush, blush, wink, wink.
So, Leah, looks like you were in Greece, possibly ancient Greece. We'll check on that.
The inference is possibly more remote times.
So let's pull them all, I say.
Do you want me to do that one?
Oh, yeah, sure. You're going to blame the environment on me. Did we have this one too? No, we had hills.
Yeah, we did.
We did. We had hills.
So
So you live by the water.
you were in a more marine environment, maybe where there were ships or sailings or expeditions. Let's move this back a little bit. Give us room. These are large cards, of course.
They are indeed. So the occupation.
Oh, stop that. Hi, Combobulated.
Hey, Kim, we'll get you on the list.
Oh,
you were a trader, which makes sense being in the marine area.
Yeah, so there you were waiting for that ship to come in.
Or go out, if you want it.
Not a spaceship, necessarily.
And what was the theme of your life? I have a feeling Mr. O's going to leave the termination to me.
Oh.
Wow. So
thank you.
Some kind
Thank
of
you, Irish.
power broker.
Right, maybe you were the head trader. Maybe you organized a union of traders, or maybe you were the president of the Trader Association. What's this for?
Don't you want me
Oh,
to pick
of course
the termination?
I do. Yes.
I'm sure he's leaving that one to me.
We're going to let Banshee figure out how you croaked, Aaliyah.
You're an alien in Greece, maybe.
What was the reason you died? Oh dear, Pompeii. Catastrophe. Oh my goodness.
Did that affect Greece?
No, it probably didn't.
No.
But maybe there were earthquakes.
Some other type of, I think that
a
would
flood,
be.
something like that. So this is the part where we ask which are the, how are we doing that?
How did we do that? Did we draw one for each?
I think we had two.
I think we had two that we picked for you. Which ones would you like more information on, Aaliyah?
So let's go over them again. This one, Greece, was the relative time period.
Yeah.
The marine was the kind of culture, right?
Yeah. So basically, I think I'm just going with, but I'm not sure. So you were in Greece at some point. You were in a maritime culture, obviously a trader who, traded goods and served, things
had a
to
certain
people.
level of power influence.
Yeah, I think you had a lot of power and influence because of what you traded. Maybe you traded some semi-precious stuff. And catastrophe, apparently, floods or earthquake, like he said, something caused your demise.
Maybe it was a fire. It could have been a number of things.
So which two would you like more information on? Would you like the culture, environment, occupation, theme, or termination? And we'll wait for that answer. So this is kind of an interesting one, I think.
Yeah, because it really does kind of flow in a way from what we know of the era, in a sense.
Well, it depends.
Death and
this
culture.
does not say ancient Greece, but
True.
it says Greece. So
the inference may be. Okay, so
the
death
and the culture.
So the culture was the maritime, marine culture. So like, on
no,
the coast.
the culture was ancient Greece.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Marine is the environment.
Oops, I had those flipped. Okay, so Greece, ancient or otherwise.
So that's what we want some info on.
Don't want to screw that up.
Wow, I can't imagine.
You can have more than one past life.
Hands off my cards, Mr. O. I can't imagine that you were a woman trader, depending on the time period, though, depending on the time period. So what would this lead me to think? That this might be a more recent past life than a past life? This might be a clue if you were a woman in this life. And it seemed to me that despite the fact that you had a lot of power, you were very burdened by what you did. You just felt very, oppressed by the amount of work you had, or maybe some of the pressure that was put on you.
Well, what I'm thinking is that with the idea of Greece, maybe, women did work in their Senate, but they didn't still have the exact same level of equality. But the thing is you could have been female, and maybe you had a particular position that gave you that level of power that we were seeing there with the power card, but it was hard work. Maybe you had just a lot of responsibility, and so therefore things were a little bit edgy on that regard too, because you were always being scrutinized in a certain way. This Queen of Swords could even stand for the idea that you were sort of under a level of scrutiny or somebody else's direction in a way.
Well, you had to make important decisions too, because you had a lot of power as your theme. The thing is that I noticed what you said, and you asked down there, yeah, you could have been an alien. You have to remember that supposedly with past lives, We could have had past lives in a multitude of lives here on this planet. Is it possible we could have had interdimensional past lives? I mean, the sky's the limit, and also your imagination of where your mind takes you on this. So this, to me, is indicative, I feel, this is my feeling, I don't know if he wants to go with something different. Did you touch on that? I feel it's a more recent past life, but what do I mean by that? I think it could be, we're not talking ancient Greece here. We're talking more, semi-modern day Greece, right?
I don't have a true feel for the time zone. To me, it does seem to play more towards ancient times.
Oh, really? With a woman being a trader? I'm just not sure.
Well, I'm thinking there are related positions to the trader industry, and maybe this is more somebody who just has a certain management level on some degree, and maybe that could be a woman. I don't know. I'm not going to disrule that because, like I mentioned a moment ago, during Greece and Roman times, women served in government.
That's true. That is true. It just seems kind of not resonating to me, though. So I'm not sure. We have a little disagreement on this.
So the time period may be wonky, but most of the other factors we do agree on.
But you may want to meditate on that and see what you come up with, because personally, my feel is it's more recent. But I think we can both agree on that. That there was some...
It was a hard job in a way. I mean, even though there may have been some power aspects and some advantage, you worked hard for what that was. And somehow it was taken away due to a catastrophe.
We'll get to that in a minute because I know you wanted cards on that. So what I'm trying to say is just because you have power... not everybody who has power is on easy street. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people out to get you, to compete with you. So you felt a lot of pressure. Maybe
it's the way of the world,
competition.
Yeah. And actually that seems to go pretty well with it too, burdens and a level of being married to your job for better or worse.
Yeah, yeah. So let's look at that demise and see if we can glean anything from that. Wow, it's interesting. I'm not sure. There's the Six of Cups reversed, but I will say that, and this is the Three of Wands, and the Three of Wands kinds of look out to sea too. So we have a water element here and a person with a surfboard, ironically enough. It almost gets me to feel that it was either a drowning or, was drowning by flood or drowning on the sea.
You were possibly with old friends, old siblings, maybe it was a cruise, maybe it was an enjoyable day, and something happened. There was a catastrophe and the ship sunk, apparently. That's what I'm gleaning from all this, that the Six of Cups talks usually about childhood experiences. Sometimes it sort of indicates a fixation on that. Maybe there was this idea that every year, people gathered and reunioned, and one year there was an accident at that reunion that sunk the boat or something. I'm just going to throw that out there for the drama.
Like for real, can have more than one past life. Absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who think we keep reincarnating.
Look into it. There's a philosophy called theosophy, mm-hmm. and they believe that some souls, older souls, have had thousands of past lives, hundreds for sure. So it really depends on how you look at that, because, some other people don't look at it the same way, granted.
And I mean, you've heard the saying old soul or young soul. That's sometimes talking about that, how many times
lives.
You've incarnated. Some people have not incarnated that much, or maybe are new.
Right. They claim that people who have more stubborn dispositions and more jump to conclusions and more, acting out on certain concerns, maybe younger souls, they just don't have a level of wisdom that makes them look at things from a more discernible point of view, of some sort of discerning level.
Well, I'm thinking that, I don't know why, but I'm thinking since it said catastrophe, I'm feeling that there might have been a big ship involved. So I know he said it was a pleasure thing, and I get that with the Six of Cups, I do, but I almost get the feeling that it was out
Hi, esoterics.
with the jobs, when you were working that this happened potentially. And it might be that you were with people who you were very familiar with, So
Yeah,
there
there's
was
something that
that
seems to
element
draw you
to
together,
it.
like you were at
Yeah.
a reunion, or you were, with people you've known a long time, that kind of thing. And this tragedy may have occurred.
So that's one of your past lives, Celia. If any of it resonates at all, like
Leave
in
us a
our
comment,
past life reading that we did on that Wednesday, Mr. O got triggered a little bit because he always had a feeling, right, of potentially being suffocated or
Yes.
something. So when he had this suicide thing and it looked like arms are around the neck there, it kind of triggered him a little bit, and it maybe was a past life memory.
Well, I haven't done lots of regression work, but it looks like one of the things that triggers me is a sense of being suffocated or losing my breath or drowning. And these things have happened to me in this current life. And I sort of feel it represents something from another life. So, but that's me. You can watch our video about that.
Right. I just wanted to bring that up. So, maybe some of this resonates, maybe none. Do a little meditation. And by the way, people, write it down, in case you want to explore it further. So, all right. So, hey,
go ahead,
Esoterics,
Shuffle,
good to
please.
see you here.
And Merwin, too. Hi, Merwin. Hi,
Merwin.
Esoterics.
Good morning.
Happy day, 2 days after Thanksgiving.
We are on Afshan now. We're going to do Afshan's reading.
Alrighty.
And after Afshan is the Cell, Libra, Cusp, Iris, Capricorn, My Sweet Christina, Kimbabulated, Esoterics, and Merwin.
Okay, so
This
I
is
believe
fun.
I got all of these. So how do we start again?
Oh, maybe.
You're welcome.
Maybe, Aaliyah.
You never know. Some things are sort of like
Imprinted.
imprinted.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we start with this one, which is the blue circles. Do you want me to pick it this
Go
time?
ahead.
Here. You can.
So this one is for Afshan. This is supposed to tell us what a past life of yours may have been like.
Wow.
Okay, so it says that maybe at some point you were in an indigenous or tribal incarnation, so you may have lived in a forested area of the world,
Well,
or
we'll see.
or somewhere where it
Well, I
was
should
remote.
say city life, and then I'm going to be like, what? But maybe that means modern era.
True, because we do know that these people exist today still, people who are more
Absolutely.
remote. Okay, so this one is
This is the environment.
the environment. Oh, my goodness, how it goes along.
There we go.
The forest. So you, whenever this was, which we don't know yet for sure, you were indigenous and lived in a forest.
Occupation.
This was your occupation. This was the kind of thing you did.
Interesting.
So you were helping with agriculture. You were taking care of plant growth and maybe, harvesting foods and helping provide for a group of people you lived with.
It's possible you had to clear out some forest area in order to do so.
Things like that, yep.
And this is the theme of that life.
Okay, so the theme of your life was about the balance of justice and injustice.
We'll talk about that.
We will talk about that.
Giving your spiel, and I have said nothing.
And then finally,
I'm going to let you pick the demise this time.
how did it end up?
Let's see.
What happened? And it says disease. You died of a disease, something, that maybe could not have been prevented. We don't know, but we're going to...
Let's take a look at this a minute. So you were part of an indigenous tribe in a forest, yet you had a role with agriculture, which I find interesting because I don't necessarily associate that with foresty areas, but I'm thinking maybe some fields were cleared so that some crops could grow. So that also indicates to me that has to be in a time period where agriculture was,
had begun.
Had
Come
begun.
here, son man. Come here.
Justice and injustice indicates to me that you may have been caught up in something that was either unfair or maybe that you helped.
Well, if you were in a tribal area, it is possible that maybe you could have been a sort of tribal elder, and maybe governorship was done in a certain way, and you had a particular area of being in charge of, deciding outcomes when people had questions of improprieties or various things. You have to stay here.
You may have been with a tribal council, that's true, that makes decisions on, who stays, who goes, who gets banished from the tribe, maybe. That seems like it. So, Afshan, what do you think you would like more information on? The culture, the environment, the occupation, the theme, or your death? And you can pick two.
Yes, pick any two. I'm just flashing them by.
Yeah, I'm going to shuffle again. I don't think you're going to be able to shuffle with Sunman there, so I will take care of it.
It's Oberon Osiris, and that's me. I just mostly go as Mr. O here.
These are free readings as advertised. We have a business, but our live streams are free.
Right, and we're doing past life readings today,
so
we're just working through a list.
So if you want to be on that list, we'll be happy to add you.
Disease and the theme, which was justice, injustice. Okay, so disease was the way you ended.
Yep,
we'll do that one last. The theme we'll do first, the justice, injustice.
I'll shuffle it, I guess.
All right. I'm sort of keeping him at bay here a little bit.
Yes, you are.
The Sunman wanted to give his blessing, but he tends to knock over the camera and things like that.
Well, these are some interesting cards. It's the Wheel of Fortune reversed.
Wow. Yeah. That sort of goes along with the whole theme in a way.
And the Nine of Wands reversed. I have to think about this. I feel
it might change what we said, actually.
No, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
Go on.
Well, maybe. But I feel like this was a period of time where the culture was experiencing a downturn with things, whether commodities were scarce, maybe potentially disease was running rampant. And I feel that in some way you were dealing with this on a social justice scale. The Nine of Wands reversed also indicates as if people had given up in some ways. It's possible, too, that you might have been dealing with, meting out justice to people who the tribe has defeated. I'm beginning to see this in a different light, maybe.
It could very well be something like that. I think my thoughts are similar to that. I sort of felt that maybe there was some sort of downturn in the society based on whatever events.
Maybe it was a time of war and struggle.
And that maybe there were just different clashes going on where you fought here possibly. I mean, if you're not necessarily a tribal elder, you're a person, though, that maybe is either the victim or on the other side, the winner of one of these skirmishes, one of these things that your sense of being prepared or being able to deal with those who weren't prepared. I mean, it could have been a couple scenarios there. But I sort of feel that, yes, this was a time when maybe we're not necessarily dealing with an actual more modern type, post 1500 Renaissance era kind of government. We're dealing with what would be thought of as, tribal type governments or indigenous type areas. And obviously they are assumed names. It's for our, we do this for entertainment purposes. So basically we that's to the question in the chat if those can't see
I know.
that.
I'm looking at that.
Well, no, I'm saying that to our audience too.
Okay.
Okay, so anything else you want to add on that?
Well, I'm going to stick with what I'm thinking here. I feel I started going one way, but as I began to think about the Nine of Wands, which looks like somebody who's been through battle, and I'm feeling if this is a justice and injustice scenario, that it has something to do with meting out justice as far as maybe war crimes go.
Right. It could be that,
and clearly, this was a period of a lot of upheaval with the wheel reversed.
Right. We still have no actual idea what continent, this could be. This could be South American. This could be somewhere in Asia. This could be a more remote part and time in Europe. It could be on islands. So it could be anywhere. And it does seem to imply that maybe from a tribal elder or a tribal communal form of government, you might have been a kind of person that either helped determine justice and injustice or helped mete it out.
I have a very clear picture of the disease here. I'll see what Mr. O says, but I've got the Emperor reversed.
The Emperor reversed.
Oh, this is so clear to me. And the Four of Cups upright.
Oh, somebody had to make a big decision and it wasn't the right one.
Well, I don't know if Four of Cups is about decision to me. It's about pulling back and reflecting, but also possibly just pulling back because you have to. If you look at it with the Emperor reversed and the topic of disease, I feel like this is something maybe like what we're going through today with COVID. This was a disease or something that was spread and it was out of control in the population. There was a loss of control. There was no way to control the spread of the virus. People were probably trying to think of ways to do it. Maybe there were medicine people working on, spells or whatever in order to try to cure this, various therapeutics. But it really ran rampant and out of control in the tribe. I think that's what happened here.
Well, to me, though, that sense of, the Emperor reverse still could imply that maybe in your position as a tribal elder or as part of a group of elders, that it was a decision that you really could not win. It's like today in a sense that, we can't necessarily just issue a proclamation and the virus is over, So the thing is that if there was
Hi, Guido Juice. I'm going to tell you right now, we are a very polite chat here. And if I'm sounding a little coarse, I'm sorry. But I don't want this to escalate. So, if you have really constructive questions and comments to offer, it's very appreciated here. Otherwise, we'll say goodbye and you could find another room to hang out in. Okay?
Yeah, we're just trying to entertain some people.
But we welcome you as a new person, and if you're very interested in what we are doing here, you're welcome to stay.
Right. I think the many decades of our reading and giving service, we validate ourselves. We don't really care about, those
That's enough said.
Enough said. Thank you. Okay, so let's get back
to
Afshan's reading.
I think this is very interesting. What do we have to answer, Guido Juice? Why is our names important to you? And why is that important? Before I hit the delete button and say goodbye to you, Okay, we're going to move on and continue.
All right, so that's what it looks like, Afshan. It's kind of an interesting life. It was more likely than not in a remote period of time, is my opinion. I think that there are modern day indigenous tribes, but and maybe certainly, we could say, okay, some of that sounds Native American. Native Americans had diseases that exterminated them and worked as indigenous tribes, and that there were various upheavals in their lives. I mean, it could, like we said, it could have been anywhere. So we think it's rather interesting. And we think that more likely we could look at it as a model to some of the stuff that's going on today, not about you necessarily, but in general.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So thank you, Afshan, and it was good to see you again. Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed it, and think about it, meditate on it.
I appreciate that, Guido Juice. So why don't you go ahead and contact us at our Gmail, if you don't mind, or at our Facebook, and we could have a dialogue there. You can Gmail us at TFT Tarot for Today, one word, at Gmail. The same more or less at Facebook. But in a way, in our private lives, we're both sort of maybe have some experience with documentaries ourselves. So we would be happy to talk to you about that if you're sincere.
Yeah. I mean, we do this not as a living. It is a sideline if you need that info. And we've just really started doing it as a sideline. We've read tarot for 88 combined years.
It's actually longer, but she doesn't want me to say that. Okay, so who's next?
I think it is Asel. Hey, Asel, you are up. Are you still here? I want to know.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to read for Asel, whether or not we know them to be here or not, unless they say, no, don't do a reading.
Well, I think Asel, we'll
is probably
see.
Here.
Yeah. Asel, just let us know if you're here, because we'll do the reading for you. If
After Asel, we have...
after Asel will be Libra Cusp, and then Irish Capricorn, My Sweet Christina, Kimbabulated, Esoterics, Merwin, and that's it.
Should we just assume Asel's here and just do it, or?
Well, we could do it and then have Asel look it up. Why don't we do it?
Okay, so let's just see if we can breeze through it then.
Okay. So, you can go first. Okay, I get to pick the culture. I think I did last time, but maybe I didn't.
I don't remember. You probably did, actually.
I want the first one.
Again?
Yeah.
I guess we didn't shuffle them.
It's indigenous tribal. Well, I mix them up when I do it. I don't know.
And I thought I mixed them up a little bit too. So, Asel, you
Highly
look also
possible.
to have been born in an indigenous tribal type culture.
I just felt I needed to pick that first one too. It's funny. But oh well.
The culture would have been desert. And so we know that's possible.
Stay there.
That
Maybe
kind of
nomadic.
opens up a territory. Yeah, nomadic. It opens up a bit of different ideas. This is what? The career?
The career.
And once again, maybe an involvement with law. So maybe once again, somebody who has a responsibility to assist in decisions or make decisions.
Mix them up a little. So what is the theme? Hey, Asel, are you with us? Just checking again. Well, I pulled it again, but this one's with law. It's power.
Interesting.
And I'm going to let you pick
the demise.
The demise. Watch it be water in a desert. It is.
Why did you say that? Gosh, Banshee.
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, it was really a mirage. He thought he was diving into a lake and he ended up suffocating on sand. Oh, no, sorry. I don't want to make light of that.
We'll have to figure this one out.
But you know, some deserts go down to the ocean, right?
If the cell's not here, we'll have to pick two for them to expound upon. So basically, I feel it was kind of a nomadic existence in the desert. Or in very, very dry environment.
So that could even say Native Americans in the North American Southwest. There are desert areas out there. Now, the occupation was law.
Yeah, and of course, I feel that, in tribal culture, oftentimes they had councils, that would determine things. So either it was that or you were a supreme authority on that because you clearly had a lot of power. So it's possible that either you were the chief in charge of that, potentially, or you made those decisions.
I don't honestly know enough about those kind of things, but I would kind of sort of think that, in tribal situations, you may have more than one responsibility. So you might be in charge of the law, but you might be in charge of enforcing the law too. So, there's just things that maybe blur together that maybe the person enforced what the rules of the tribe or the indigenous group was because they had the power to do that.
Yeah.
Or were respected in that manner.
Yeah.
But
then there's water. So what could this be?
Drowning.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I do believe it's more of a drowning kind of thing. There are bodies of water in the desert. I don't know how deep. It's really funny. If it wasn't for the law aspect and theme, I would almost say that maybe this was a youthful drowning.
I know, exactly, but this doesn't seem to be that way if the life has that. So that should possibly be one of the things we pull for a cell. I don't believe they've indicated they're here, so let's just try to get through this. And maybe also, what do you think? Desert? See if we could get any kind of handle on the desert. Yeah, because deserts are everywhere. There are deserts in Australia,
well, do you
deserts
think we'll
in
get
Asia.
that from the tarot? Do you want to do
Maybe
that
not.
one?
I don't know.
Let's see. Well, you said it, so I'm going to let you start with that one. And we will start with that one first. I'm going to let you get your hands on the cards. Oh, wait, not yet. Sorry. Not yet, after this. Well, you know who's not around. So this is about the desert.
Okay, so we have the Two of Pentacles upright. And then the reversed Seven of Wands.
Okay, so what does that tell us about the desert, Mr. O?
Well,
or the environment? I feel like in this environment, you were able to maintain kind of a balance of, having enough to live on, but there was always some struggle maintaining that. I feel like you always had enough, but you had to struggle kind of to do it.
I think that the Seven of Wands in particular solidifies the idea that you were part of a nomadic tribe, besides the idea that it said that in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Because the thing is the Seven of Wands normally shows a person standing above, but the opposite would be somebody who's standing with their people or with whoever, the community around them. And maybe, even though that sort of says adversity, the Two of Pentacles shows balance. And so I'm thinking you had to be a team of people to live in the desert. So it doesn't really tell us what desert, other than the fact that you were definitely part of a tribal situation, and responsibilities of many sorts were probably shared. And that maybe sharing defense was not necessarily the biggest thing, or not necessarily a part of your thing.
Yeah. All right, so now for the
demise.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the 3? Yes, it is.
But look what it's coupled with. Was there some kind of, were you part of some sort of ceremony? I'm almost wondering here if you had to sacrifice yourself to, is this possible?
Well, I don't always feel that the Three of Swords is about a sacrifice so much as maybe repairing or healing.
But it's about a healing, which means that
okay, I get what you're saying then.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And it may be that was involved in your demise. I don't know, because we saw you being more involved in being tribal leader of some sort, maybe connecting the law aspects of the tribe. But this would also say that maybe there was the implication that you had to do some major ceremony, some major ritual for the tribe, and maybe part of that involved, I'm not going to say shedding of blood, but basically a sacrifice.
Well, by water in some way, I'm sensing here. But also, I'm not sure you were necessarily the magician here. I just feel you were the person who was volunteered for whatever reasons. Now, there could be a number of reasons for this. It's possible that some decision you made legally, had to be, was maybe not just. And it had to, it precluded you sacrificing yourself to make it right again.
Well, and we know that in some indigenous cultures, especially those that had monarchy type situations, that was true, that if the certain thing didn't happen, crops didn't grow, or certain things happen, a king or a leader might have to sacrifice themselves or be forfeit.
So, I don't know if you missed any of this, but this was your past life reading. So you may want to look it up if you just joined us again, because we were calling for you. But we just decided to do one in case you were interested. And it's a very interesting one. So check it out and tell us what you think. I'm sorry you missed the opportunity to draw a couple cards here. We drew some for you because we have to, with this kind of thing, we have to keep moving because we want to fit everybody in.
So that's what we did, and we hope you enjoy that. And thank you for being one of our supporters.
Hey, Libra Cusp, guess what?
The wait is over, Libra.
You are up. And then after Libra's Irish, my sweet Christina, Kim, Esoterics, Merwin.
Oh, we might actually do it.
We might actually do it.
All right, Libra. This is going to be fun.
I think you're going to pick... Yeah, you're going to pick the culture this time.
Is that this one?
Yeah, because I think I picked it last time. So I will hold it.
Okay, so that's all 5.
All right. This is your past life. Remember that show is a real old school show. This is your life. This is your past life. Let's see.
Oh.
Prehistoric. Uh-oh. Cave girl.
Or caveman, who knows? So you lived in prehistoric times.
Wow.
Now, prehistoric times isn't necessarily just dinosaurs because technically there were people living 100,000 years ago when dinosaurs weren't here. It was just before history was being recorded. Most of history being recorded is maybe 10,000 years ago, give or take, with some areas. So you were before that.
I don't recall we had that come up before.
That has not shown up a whole lot.
Well, let's see. You're in some big city, right? Oh.
You were the most beautiful Neanderthal. No. See, slap my mouth. Oberon shouldn't have said that. Okay. As a part of that life, many thousands of years ago, you lived near an ocean area.
A body of water.
It could have been a lake. It could have been an ocean.
I think it was some bigger body of water. Occupation? Well, what kind of an occupation? Okay, well, let's see. I guess I'll pick this one.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, missed that. Oh dear. Well,
you had to scrounge around, which makes sense. I think a lot of people in that era didn't have set jobs per se. I'm sure there were some in that kind of what would you call it, cave living.
Well, I don't know all the ramifications of a prehistoric lifestyle. We often see the movies or read the stories where they all lived in a tribe in one cave together. But maybe that wasn't really everybody. And so maybe there were people who were on the margin of whatever that kind of society that was. You could have been one of those people scrounging around.
So what was the theme? Uh-oh. I heard that. Cats are fighting.
That was me.
Oh, that was you.
Was that the sound you heard?
Yeah, sort of.
The theme of your life was growth. So even though you may have been a beggar or scrounging, having, a little bit of a hardship, I want to do that, right, for you.
Oh.
You had an essence about growth in your life. You were really about manifesting things you wanted to. It could have been as easy as just you were an original person that was trying to grow things, agriculture, or maybe it was really about how you were elevating things in the overall life back then in general. Maybe you were a person that told tales.
I'll hold off on mine and go through it in a bit. I want that one.
You had a peaceful death.
Well, that's nice, all things considered, but I assume lifespans weren't really long back then, but it's hard to say. But
Your life was really about trying to live as long as you could, whereas other people may have been thinking about, oh, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do that thing because I'm a cave person and I want to conquer and I want to eat buffalo meat or whatever it is. You might have wanted those things, but you were also very much had this eye to growing older, to living a full life, and thus you did manage to do that.
Okay, so I can say something about this life?
No, you can't.
So we got prehistoric. So clearly, probably cave dwelling of some sort in my mind. But you lived by the water. You had water close by to access.
Hi, Teresa.
God. So it is possible that maybe, you relied on some of the food you could get from the sea. You were a beggar, which to me, in this case, isn't necessarily begging for food, but I think it's scrounging. I think, I know they have hunter-gatherers, but I do think it was scrounging around for whatever you could find. It was a very needy kind of existence. And the growth factor to me indicates that I feel as though maybe there was... Maybe there was some higher level of mental awareness that you were managing to grow through your life. You learned things. You were able to grow a little bit as you went. And your peaceful death just basically means to me that whatever it was you died from, you died in your sleep and at peace. No violent death, no animal attack, things of that nature.
I'm going to say that what Banshee said about the beggar thing made me reinterpret the idea that you were maybe marginal on the edge of a cave or prehistoric community. You may have been a part of that community, and maybe all of you were like that.
Yes.
Maybe all of you lived by the seashore and did little bits of fishing, and so the word is just not the right word for that time. It just may be that it just says it's a subsistence level living. That life was not necessarily abundant, and yet still, like Banshee says, you had more of a consciousness than maybe most of your ilk back then, and thus, you ensured yourself to grow old, or as old as the standard was. So, what do you want us to illuminate here, Libra? Which of these factors do you want to get a little more information about? Oh, I'm so happy that you're here, Teresa. I hope things are okay for you. And I would love a nice long walk in the woods. Maybe someday, later.
I'm just looking up beggar for a minute. I just wanted to look at what they had. Wait, where was that? Doggone it.
So, Libra, we need an idea of what kind of two positions you want us to pull some cards for. Death, okay. Everyone wants that. One more. So you're.
Okay, it does seem like as I looked up beggar, I just wanted to get a little bit more info on this. It seems as though this is something that is driven by dire poverty. So clearly, prehistoric, it was a very hand-to-mouth existence. I think that kind of reinforces that. So you want to shuffle? Did you shuffle?
No, I did not.
Let's let you do it this time. So death and what else?
We haven't gotten that yet.
We need one more. So it's either culture, environment, occupation, or theme, Libra. But we will do death. I guess we'll do that first.
Did you need to shuffle?
I shuffled already. Occupation and death. Okay.
I always wanted to live near the woods, Teresa. And I have, but never took full advantage, perhaps. Cut or no? You weren't.
Nope.
All right, so we're going to do occupation first. The reversed Queen of Cups and the reversed Five of Swords. Well, You were a troublemaker. You were somebody, I don't know if you're a woman necessarily, but you were somebody who maybe, even though you had your advanced consciousness, maybe you were a visionary. Maybe you saw things and people couldn't relate to them, so they just thought you had an overactive imagination. Maybe you were a visionary, but people misunderstood you. Tribal cultures.
See, I feel like there, and maybe it's because, you were growing more mentally than the tribe was. And so you were kind of shunned for what you knew, or, it was maybe you were a little bit ahead of your time. And so what happened was they kind of shunned you. And so you were I almost think I'm going back to something you said. You were on the outskirts a little bit of the tribe. You really had to fend for yourself.
Right. And they didn't outright hate you and stone you if you came near, but they weren't really very happy about it. And maybe sometimes, you just waited for things that they discarded, and then you would kind of cobble together what you needed from that. So you were sort of there, and I guess that's what the Five of Swords is saying too, is just marginalized in a way.
But they were marginalizing you. So, that's just the way it works sometimes.
So let's look at the death then.
Yes.
It is really nice to see everybody here. I'm glad you're here, Teresa.
You got 2 9s, which is ironic because 9s are what? Endings.
Endings.
So you've got the 9 of Wands popped up, and that's reversed, and that came up before.
Yeah.
But then you have the 9 of Pentacles upright. So I feel like you died alone. And it might have been after some hardship. Some hardship. Maybe you didn't get enough food. Maybe it was the elements. But I feel that it was peaceful.
I think what it was, too, was the idea that maybe after years of living the way you were, you might have been trying to get more involved with them, but they never would let you. And then at some point you just resolved you were just going to be that person there in the background. And once you resolved that, though, then you just found an inner peace being alone, which, of course, led to, the peaceful death alone. Because you found an inner contentment on your own, and it was probably from giving up the fighting with people who didn't.
That could be, because that is about giving up the fighting. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But there's 2 ideas for you about the demise, Libra. I hope you enjoyed this. It was interesting.
I'm sure we can do that, Teresa.
Yep. So we're done with Libra. So Irish Capricorn, you are next. Are you still with us? And then my sweet Christina, Combobulated, Esoterics, Merwin, and Teresa. We have a lot of fun with this. This really is challenging, and it's like storytelling in a way, and I'm a big proponent of using the tarot for storytelling. I like to play with it in that.
You're welcome. Okay, Irish. Hang on for this is your past life. Good to see you.
You're mixing them up good. Thank you, Mr. O.
I hope I did a good job. Okay, so
you did.
Do I pick the first one, or do you?
I'm going to throw those at you if you want to throw a shuffle on those. I guess I'll pick this one. And this is the Culture.
That's this one?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Lapis Blue Circle.
No, we're not skipping you.
Okay.
I think we'll leave Teresa.
Where were you?
Teresa should probably be our last one, I think.
Well, wait a minute. When did Kayla come in?
She came in just before Teresa. I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay, then we'll get that in there. Sorry, Kayla. I missed you completely. I don't know how. But let me check my chat again.
Why don't you pick one first?
No. I want to be ready. Well, there always has to be one in these readings.
Oh, Irish.
Irish, you were an alien.
You were an alien in a past life.
So.
The horror.
So remember, people, what is that show? Ancient Aliens. do believe that there were aliens on this planet. There may still be. But the other thing is it could be an off-world experience. Wow.
Right. We won't disallow for anything.
No. We keep an open mind here.
I pick, right?
Oh, well, I need a cough drop. I seem to have a tickle. Right.
I thought Kayla came in before Teresa, so we're good with that.
The other thing is that I feel that alien could be a foreigner on a foreign soil. So let's see what kind of vibes we get here.
So this is the environment.
Yes.
On a seashore. So I'm thinking it's Easter Island. You helped build those big faces.
So you were an alien selling seashells by the seashore.
Okay, maybe you weren't.
We're having a little fun with that, Irish. Sorry. Oh, yes, that's right.
And this is?
Occupation. What kind of an occupation could an alien have? Let's see. Government.
Of course.
We'll talk about that. Let's leave that one for now. I'm going to get you the...
Well, some people think that certain monarchies are invaded by alien DNA, reptilian, humanoid, or other. And this is the theme. Wow. All of you power people seem to have shown up today.
Power brokers today, yeah.
But that goes totally in line with being a governmental type, so that's kind of interesting, but maybe rather typical. So what else can we do but figure out?
You're making me do the death again.
That's right, Banshee. How did they croak? How did Irish buy it?
Oh, my God.
Oh, dear. War. And that really kind of fits with government and power. So that's kind of interesting.
This really is interesting, Irish. I'm almost leaning towards the fact that I don't think you were an alien from another world per se. I think you were an alien and you were part of a culture that, was at war with another culture. And you assumed power. You assumed power and control. You were part of the governance, so you were a foreigner in another land who assumed power there in the government.
I am getting a feeling, and I know we're going to do the cards to figure it out, but my feeling is that I know that in some ancient times, let's say Sparta and Athens, they exchanged students with each other as a way of doing a tribute kind of thing, but also ensuring that they wouldn't attack each other, and that maybe you could have been in a situation like that where you were exchanged, and then throughout that, though, you somehow just moved ahead with that culture. You possibly left your own culture behind, but eventually maybe went to war with that culture in some form.
Well, I don't know where he's going.
I don't know either.
But I will tell you what I think. Again, I believe you were part of a culture that took over another. You ended up governing the people. You had a lot of power, but you were probably... Get that war card out again. I don't know why you keep, put the cards down once we're done with them.
Well, as you quickly talk about them, I quickly show them.
No.
Yes.
You were probably... eradicated through another struggle or upheaval. There was a coup, and you were probably removed due to the coup.
All right, so what would you like us to throw more info at?
Interesting, and he's got military background, so there.
Yeah, so, and that could just say, too, that in between lives you gravitate towards that because you've done that. So tell us...
So would you like more information on the culture, the environment, the occupation, the theme, or the termination? 2 things.
Just 2. I'll go ahead and throw some shuffles here.
And we will get everybody in. I see we have about a half hour left to this 1.5 hour stream.
We'll go overtime. It doesn't matter.
But we will stop with Teresa being the last and get everybody who's here in.
Irish, we need something.
Okay. Termination and occupation. Yeah, let's find out about that government.
You already shuffled these, right?
I did.
Okay. So termination and occupation.
Take one from the top and one from the bottom like I've been doing if you're doing that. Thank you.
Okay, occupation was government, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have the Nine of Swords there. And then we have the High Priestess.
So basically, wow.
I know. What are you getting?
The Nine of Swords is definitely about sorrow and sadness and misery. I think in your governance, I hate to say this, but you might have been responsible for causing a bit of misery. I don't feel that was you per se, but you're taking over. This is just me saying this. I think he might go another direction. You may have caused some serious misery to others, which is why I feel there was a coup to remove you. And the High Priestess reversed indicates to me that maybe there were some people how should I say this, clerics from the old guard, the people that you took over, that led this coup. That's just the feeling I'm getting.
I'm thinking that the reason you're an alien is because this is a royal marriage or thing where somebody said, I am the king or I am the queen and I am marrying this person and annexing their country. And I'm thinking that maybe if you weren't really that queen or person, that you're just part of the administrations that were somehow forced to work together. You were sent to the other land to work with this whole annexation thing. But still, there was a lot of sorrow. And like Banshee says, maybe there was somebody plotting things secretly, or maybe somebody who let this sorrow affect them so deeply that war eventually arose.
You know, we often know that religions suffer in times of upheavals like these, and I feel that you were trying to institute some changes that really were disruptive to the spiritual life of the people and also this high-powered clerical class, because we know in a lot of societies and cultures the clerics used to hold and wield a lot of power.
It's true. So we're going to move on then to the actual demise.
So one from top, one from bottom.
I want to put that there. And our two cards are the Seven of Cups reversed and the Hanged Man upright. Ooh.
Wow. So as far
You
as
were a martyr. You were some sort of martyr. The idealistic person, maybe, who had visions and had thoughts about one way to go, and you ended up possibly being martyred for that.
people did not like your choices, what you were choosing to do and how you were choosing to lead, and so they sacrificed you. They assassinated you. I think they took you out. I hate to say it.
You were removed from power.
Yeah.
Power because people felt you wielded too much, perhaps.
And it is possible that you were just one of many who were removed.
Right.
It's possible that this uprising involved fighting back from, what do you call them? Fighting back from a
resistance.
Society, resistance to people who came in. I'm just trying to think of the word for people who come in and take over a society that way. Gosh, there's a word for this, but I can't. Aggressors, let's just say, from an aggressive culture or society that came in and wanted to rule over you, wanted your land, wanted your resources, wanted to subjugate the people, back. So I do think this dates back. This does date back sometime.
Yeah, it could go as far back as, like maybe Romanish era, but it could be more modern from there. But the idea, I think, is that somehow kingdoms or principalities were trying to wed themselves to each other. So maybe your involvement was at that state level. If you weren't really being forced to marry somebody, maybe you were somebody from somebody's staff or administration. You now had to work with that other person, and this just created a lot of clashes that ultimately resulted in not so well for you.
The rest of my deck?
So that's what we had, Irish, and we hope you liked it.
Please.
You misgrabbed them, and you don't have
No,
to...
no. Well, they're all bent now, and they bend easily.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think she's overreacting.
I am. So, Irish, you are done. I hope you enjoyed that. I thought that was a very fascinating one.
Are you talking about the Oman, the DC Comics character? You would know about that, dear.
No, I'm afraid I would not. So, my sweet Christina, you are up. This is your life. Are you still with us?
Yeah, you should indicate as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we might decide to move on.
And then Combobulated, Esoterics, Merwin, Kayla, and Teresa. He says yes.
Alrighty.
Okay, we're ready for you.
Just got these two.
I'll shuffle these and give these back. I hope I didn't drop any cards that I didn't see. Look at that, I did.
Well, you said it.
Are there any under the table
dropped
or anywhere?
You said that. You dropped them.
Because of the bad handoff by Mr. O. There, I said it.
Oh, wait till the camera's off.
Then the fun begins.
Bad handoff?
Oh, dear. Anyway.
Who goes first?
I say you do this time.
Then give him...
Here, shuffle. Well, I get these. This is a thicker deck. I wish some of the other decks had maybe just a little bit more nuance to them, but I think that I really enjoyed working with this. It's fun.
I seem to remember reading Oman years ago, but I haven't probably read him currently. I know that the character still exists in DC Comics.
And once upon a time, I used to be a comic reader, but no more.
Oh.
Mesopotamia.
So now we have a clear idea that it was in the past because Mesopotamia doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
It's Iran, I think, actually, or something like that. So you lived in ancient Mesopotamia. The environment was in the fields, so you lived in a more rural agricultural part of that land. You were a laborer. So you worked in those fields.
Possibly.
You were probably farming
or constructing something. Maybe burial things.
Right. I mean, just because your environment was in the fields didn't mean that you worked in the fields. You could have been creating any number of, buildings or things that that community needed. This is the theme?
Yeah.
And we have justice and justice.
Now, I don't think that's an occupation for you. I think this is something that happened to you. We'll talk about that.
The theme of your life revolved around justice and injustice.
Mm-hmm.
How did you end it?
I'm letting you pick that this time because I think I picked the last one.
And we see disease again as your ender.
So justice and justice. Let me take a look. So in Mesopotamia, you were a laborer who lived in the fields. I wish they would just, live in the fields.
It's because the camera view doesn't get them all.
Okay. Live in the fields. There was labor involved. I feel that it's possible that it was something more building oriented. I don't know why I don't feel it was agricultural, but I could be wrong. The theme of justice or injustice to me indicates that you either were treated fairly by your people or unfairly by your people.
They have an idea.
Okay, well, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm doing mine. So there's either fairness or not that you were treated by your people because you died of natural causes. So I don't feel, it was anything that shortened your life or incarcerated you or anything like that. A Hebrew slave in Babylon. Well, it's possible, but remember, some slaves were treated better than others.
But that would kind of point to the labor connection.
Yeah.
I guess I have to ask you, did you ever have another past life reading that might have indicated that to you, or are you just feeling that from what we told you? But I do feel, too, that would cover most of those bases, that being a slave would be a theme of justice and justice. Yes. And that the fact that as a slave you maybe did have to labor, and that maybe you didn't have the best benefits available to you if you suffered a disease.
Now, mind you, we also have cards in here that indicate slavery. So
that's true.
We did not get that, which is why I'm not necessarily going that way. But there was maybe kind of like indentured servants of sorts where, you maybe had to work off debt. Or you were, so it's it's slavery of a different sort,
Right, and I know just generally there were some broad classes in most of these ancient cultures with usually a priest and or a king being at the top, and then usually warriors or soldiers next, and then eventually down to laborers, and then below laborers even.
Another thought that comes to mind is that it's possible that this is tied to your labor in that maybe as part of some type of agreement, with whatever the justice system was, you had to do work. Well,
that's a good thought there, my sweet Christine, because the idea that that was an era where there were a lot of religious sensibilities changing. I mean, not only was there those ancient forms of Judaism, but there was still various forms of paganism and other things there too, all competing for people to worship them.
Do you have anything to add before we move on any of them?
No, I think I'm ready to get to your questions about which areas you want us to look into. So we can pull tarot cards on 2 of these areas. So it's up to you. Once again, those are your occupation, your demise, the theme of your life, where the life was, the culture, and also
the termination.
The environment.
Culture, environment, occupation, theme, and termination.
I did say that, yeah.
Cute. Culture, environment, theme.
Why not? So what area should we expand on for you?
Okay.
Theme.
And?
Which was justice and justice.
Yeah.
Whoops.
That's popped up again. Interesting. Oh. Wow, this kind of is interesting. Maybe the slave thing is possible.
So the theme is the 3 of Swords. And also the 5 of Pentacles. And that kind of maybe in a little bit goes towards what you said about changing your religion, because maybe you found that, and maybe there was some sort of separation or something really heartrending for you, and that it made you really feel you didn't belong where you were at and you looked for something else. 5 of Pentacles sometimes is a person seeking solace, maybe not realizing that it is actually there, but in this context it could just be that maybe you wanted to make bigger changes.
Well, my sweet Christina, I had to say this wasn't a very sweet life. I feel like you found it very hard. There were harsh conditions for you with the 5 of Pentacles. You were seeking for help that maybe wasn't there, because I see the 3 of Swords here. And I feel that you lived a life that was full of some sorrows and pain. And I think a lot of it related to the fact that you lived in a state of poverty.
It's more likely than not, and maybe it is true that the justice and justice theme implies slavery. It certainly implies maybe less than the best conditions, absolutely. Right. So we're going to move on now to the culture, which was your second theme that you wanted explored. And that was...
wow.
The culture is Mesopotamia, right? Yeah.
A lot of fire.
The Ace of Wands reversed sounds like Baal. And the Eight of Wands reversed. Oh.
Sounds like a lot of misapplied energy in this culture. That they didn't have it together at this time period. You were a part of it. There was a lot of energy wasted on things that just did not bear fruit.
It seems like maybe within that immediate culture, and I don't know that you lived near a big city where there might have been certain things going on, that maybe you were more rustic, but that there was, like Banshee said, there were decisions made to do things, and those decisions probably didn't work out. They probably caused a certain level of the reverse goal. They made life harder for people. So it could be that maybe people who were living on the outskirts of the city, more in a rustic area, their lives were harder because they weren't willing to commit to working with city protocols. Maybe there were trade protocols working, but you had to pay certain levels of taxes, and maybe people were resistant to that, things like that. But that's what I'm sort of sensing, was that there was just a graininess to your culture there in Mesopotamia, a lot of missed advantages, or maybe a sense of being occupied too. Maybe a sense of being occupied.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, these aren't exactly warlike cards, but I can't help but wonder if there was a lot of squabbling going on, where people just were in a lot of disagreement about how things should be carried out and how things should be done. And it led to a lot of social unrest. Not necessarily out and out war, but social unrest.
So that's what we have for you.
Yeah. I hope
you liked it. It was certainly entertaining, I think. And
that was kind of interesting one.
And now we're going to move on.
Combobulated. You were with us, I'm sure. So you are next. We're on you. I'm going to give the deck a shuffle here so you can mix these cards up.
You're welcome. Hope that was entertaining, if nothing else.
We haven't gone into a lot of sex of people. We did it once, I think, but I don't know that, at least I did. So I didn't say male or female. Not necessarily a lot was kind of
falling out that way.
I have to admit.
Woo-woo indeed. And I hope your father's okay too, Kim.
Well, it's unique. I don't know how many people do this way, so it's just, I like it, like I said, for its storytelling elements, and I feel like, that they do resonate to some people. You may find a resonance there. And if not, it certainly gives you something to think about and explore further. Hang on. Rushing boy. I know, we got a clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock. All right, I'm going to go. Oh, God, I put my hand right on that
Good
card.
to hear that.
Oh, guess what?
When in Rome. So
Kim,
the implication could be ancient Rome, but
we've had
we'll
Greece
see.
and Rome today. So yeah, let's see what else is up.
The environment was by the seashore, so Rome on the coast, perhaps.
Is there a coast for Rome, or is it in the middle of Italy?
Look at Italy.
Rome is an empire.
Look at Italy. It's a peninsula.
Rome is an empire. So you were definitely by the seashore.
Okay.
And
Banshee.
also, to me, this could indicate something else. Let's see if it comes up in occupation, eh?
Am I doing that for you?
You are, but you're busy, so I'm just mixing them a little for you. Are you going to get that beret, by the way? I think you should.
Which one? Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Well, I know certain people would love me to wear that beret.
Okay. Makes sense.
This is the occupation.
Yeah.
And it says you were a
Came
trader,
up before.
Kim.
This is our second trader today.
Seems like the traders always end up near the seashore. That seems to be appropriate.
Or marine, yeah. Maybe you actually did some wandering yourself to different shores.
Right, and that's a good point that Banshee mentions, that Rome was a pretty global, for that time, empire.
Well, if that's actually the time period, which possibly I'm leaning towards.
This is...
Oh, yeah, it's the theme.
The theme of your life is betrayal.
It's like the Ten of Swords in this deck.
Oh, dear. I'm so sorry to hear that.
But let's see how you died. Just because you see the stab in the back, that's a metaphorical stab in the back. I guess it's on you, Mr. O, to get the death going here. Are you dropping my cards? I'm getting really proprietary about my decks. Maybe we'll have to use more of his.
Maybe we'll have to have separate shows. But mine will be on.
Do.
Mine will start 10 minutes before yours.
We already do.
And how did you... You had an accident. You died from an accident.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting because... Okay. Well, let's see what we've got. So you were part of, in my opinion, the Roman Empire. I cannot exactly say what era, but I think you were part of the empire, and you were a trader, trading goods, possibly traveling to obtain goods and services. And somewhere along the way, somebody did not like you, or people did not like you, either because they thought you were scamming them, you weren't paying them well, whatever the case may be, or they were jealous as to how good you were doing, and so they betrayed you.
Well, the theme of your life was betrayal, so you probably had more than one betrayal, and it probably was attached to the idea that maybe as a trader you did travel around the empire, and so, different people liked you, different people did not like you.
Right, and I think, as a theme, you always had to, how shall we say this, Kim, watch your back.
But not due to betrayal, we don't believe necessarily there was an accident. Now, maybe an act of betrayal could have led to the accident, so it's hard to say exactly.
Was it a setup, or was it a true accident? However the case may be, your death was deemed accidental. So a fall, accidental drowning, it could be, maybe at sea. It could be any number of things. So a boulder falling on you, maybe that somebody gave a nudge to.
That's an interesting thought.
It's possible. So what would you like to expound on? Would you like the culture, the environment, the occupation, that theme, or the termination? 2 things. Take your pick.
Mr. O's going to have a cough drop.
Betrayal in the accident. Good choices, I say. All right.
So the betrayal was the theme of your life.
The top and bottom.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the betrayal is probably connected. You have the 2 of Cups, and then you have the Emperor reversed. And I think this says that the betrayal in your life is connected to maybe 1 or more breakups or disharmonies in relationships. These could be actual love relationships. They could just be other strong relationships.
Partnerships in the trade.
Oh my goodness, of course.
and there was a loss of control, or somebody got power hungry and wanted to take you out. They wanted it all for themselves.
Well, they betrayed you because of those reasons. I don't know that the betrayal is the death.
No, but they wanted to take you out. In other words, they wanted to bring you down because they were greedy. I feel they were greedy and jealous.
They didn't want your association. They didn't want the association of a partnership. They wanted it dissolved. Mm-hmm. They wanted to be in charge, and they were willing to do certain things to do that.
And also, since it is the theme, like you said, this may be indicative too of you not wanting to work with others. You know,
that's true.
Yourself wanted it all, and it's possible that's why the betrayal happened. That you were kind of a power broker here, you know, but in a malevolent sort of way. And people did not like that.
Captain Kim was a little bit conniving, maybe.
Kim. So we're giving you some options and some ideas here to meme off of.
So the accident then.
Okay, get a top and bottom. Let's see.
Right. The accident is the Ace of Pentacles reversed and the Five of Pentacles reversed. And I'm thinking a structure fell on you. I'm thinking something material maybe that wasn't built well. I was thinking the
same thing. Or broke. Earthen. Or rocks, earthen.
Maybe you're crossing a bridge and it broke.
I almost feel you were crushed by something. I hate to say that.
I get a crushing feeling from these.
I get it too. Yeah.
So something kind of crushed you, an accident. A wall broke of a building or of a gate or something like that. And it's funny
because they're showing that, but they're actually showing you falling here, tripping and falling. I feel it was something fell on you.
Yeah, most likely that's what I'm feeling. I could even go so far to say as that it might have been a temple or a church of some sort that maybe there was an earthquake and it collapsed and you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But that's what I think happened.
We're sorry, Kim.
We're sorry.
We shed tears for that life too. Not all of these have happy endings. We had a number of happy endings this time. I mean, disease is not happy, but we did have a peaceful death. And I feel that, we didn't always go out as happily as we would like.
An accident.
Especially when we're talking about ancient times or further back times when life was harder.
Well, and they had no regulatory agencies to make sure that public health was insured.
Although, some of those pyramids and stuff have lasted the test of time, so I think they were pretty well built.
They didn't need it.
But I bet they had a lot of accidents along the way of making them. Well, that's what we have for you. You better watch your back.
Don't go under any creaky bridges.
Well, but that's why if you look up and you're a little bit more cautious than normal, maybe that has something to do with it. I mean, sometimes there's little triggers and clues here to maybe why you behave in this life the way you do, or why you have an interest in something that you do. Next? So we are on esoterics. Are you into this esoterics? Are you up for this? Esoterics is said next, and then Merwin, Kayla, and Teresa.
Alrighty. And I've already shuffled those.
We will shuffle to see.
I hope you hear esoterics.
Hey, you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you. You're welcome too.
We did have a repeat, but there's been a few repeat things, elements, but there's been a lot of diverse things this time around.
Yo, esoterics, are you there?
Hey, esoterics, are you there? It's possible she just bopped in. I will see if I have any.
I know she made a couple comments, one or two.
But was it pretty early on, or?
Earlier than not.
Okay, what a surprise. Hi, guys.
But nothing since then, I don't think. Oh, there they are. Okay, hi. Great, we're glad we got you. We want to do this. Right at the end. Okay.
Just
So
want to make sure you were there.
our first card is the culture that you lived in.
And I'm done shuffling.
And I guess I'll let you pick first.
Okay. We got another repeat.
Oh, how did I guess? Esoterics, you were an alien.
You were from an advanced alien culture. Or it's possible, like I've said, you were a foreigner on foreign shores, distant lands. We'll see what comes up. All right. I love that card. So if you've ever felt, there's some other intelligence guiding you, part of your DNA.
Oh my God. E.T. phone
home.
No! We believe you. Okay, so this is your environment. And you lived in a marine environment too, so you lived possibly near a body of water, a large body, or a sizable body of water.
Maybe it's the sea of outer space. Maybe you were a traveler.
So this is the occupation.
Man, if we get a ship captain of some sort or go ahead. Oh, I guess that's going to be on me. All right.
This is so much fun. All right. What did you do?
Oh, you were experimenting on human bodies, weren't you? You were involved in health research.
Your occupation was health and research, yep. And of course, health could be physical, mental, emotional, who knows, spiritual.
Very interesting. Oh, this is you. That's right.
So this is the theme of your life.
You're making me do the termination again. How did
yes,
that
I
happen?
Yes, I am. Right. Okay, you could let me pull it.
It's all right.
And the theme revolved around stability, instability.
Interesting.
So, of course, the inference could be that you were at a time where a lot of things were kind of back and forth. There were changes a lot, either in society or in the world in general. Not necessarily ancient, but it could be.
Yeah, it could be, but it doesn't have to be. But, I always, with the alien card, think of, I don't know, maybe it's just because of ancient aliens, right? But anyway, they're still among us, right? Okay.
I'm picking the death.
I'm making you.
I get to decide. Oh, starvation.
Yikes.
Wow.
I definitely have a theme here. I'm feeling something here.
Okay.
Well, I kind of could say that this was an otherworldly existence and that there was instability in the culture or in the planet itself. And, people were starving, people were dying. And so you had to travel. You had to travel to find another means. But I'm getting the feeling that, and health also, you might have been a physician or doctor on board even this vessel, but I don't feel you guys made it. I feel like you might have died in space.
It was just the feeling I get the feeling like it was not terrestrial. Maybe you were coming here. Maybe Earth is really that important. But you were coming, I think, to solve the questions of instability with your own planet or your own space culture. You were flying through outer space. You were a marine spaceship.
If it's possible to me that maybe you landed on a planet, I'm not ruling that out, that you made it somewhere, but it wasn't hospitable to your race, to your beings. Wow. So if you ever feel sometimes, an emphasis on lack in your life or something, weight problem. Yeah. If you're ever feeling something that could be indicative of this life.
A lot of this strikes for me as I know you. I do feel that you really are about health, on all levels. So I feel like, yes, you are alien in
so
a good way. So
you and Aaliyah share that.
So listen, which of these two areas should we throw some cards on?
Yeah, what would you like to know more about? The culture, the environment, the occupation, the theme, or the termination? 2 things.
Have I already shuffled those? I thought I did before I came back to you. Yeah.
I shuffled and I have them ready. Okay, so after esoterics is Merwin, Kayla, and Teresa.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, we picked for you?
Oh, my goodness.
All right. You know what?
Well, I got to know more about alien.
I have to know more about the alien, but I also think I want to know more about maybe the stability, instability.
Oh, yeah. They kind of go hand in hand in a way, at least how we preliminarily have thought of them. So we are going to pick...
This is so... Oh, esoterics. This is so funny. So the alien was first.
Yes.
But I'm almost thinking this is talking about the stability and instability.
Well,
but
let's
again,
take a look at it.
I think what this is showing is you on a ship. You definitely were aliens traveling through space.
Yeah. Wow. You were traveling. This is so cool.
And look at this. You were leaving something behind. You were breaking free from probably the stable or unstable situation.
Yeah, I could be flexible and see that these kind of pertain to that too, that basically being an alien, coming from an unstable culture or vacillating culture, there were the thoughts that you needed to leave some of this behind, but also the idea...
there was a very oppressive situation on your planet. Like, for example, if there was, some the other possibility with this is if there wasn't starvation on your planet or things going wrong in that regard, maybe there was war and real heavy oppression going on that you escaped from, and you starved en route, that you just didn't have enough supplies to carry you through to a journey to a planet where you'd be safe.
Yeah, this is clearly leaving bad situations.
Yeah.
So let's see what the next 2 cards say. Wow, it makes me feel real tingly. The Queen of Wands reversed and the Empress.
Which is interesting to me because the Empress is so much about fertility and stuff. And that's the stability and instability. And yet we have this ruler who's very aggressive and arrogant. My feeling is that there was a lot of warring or factioning going on this planet over resources.
And leaving was really about moving to a new planet. And maybe these cultures were spacefaring, but really could not deal with things. And so they were just being
leave in a hurry,
exiled or had to leave in a hurry with the thought of making a new planet.
Making a life on a new planet.
Making a life on a new planet.
Not making a planet. That would be godlike.
Well, why not?
Why not?
How fascinating,
How fascinating. I hope you like that, esoterics. That's pretty interesting.
So...
That's what we have for you.
That was fantastic. That was really like one of the most uplifting ones we had today in a way.
Well, uplifting to a point.
Well, uplifting to a point, okay.
I don't think the end was very good. I feel, though, that, you were trying to leave something very oppressive. So, in other words, it was kind of like if you stayed, you had issues that could have ended your life. Leaving was a gamble and a risk that you took, and it just didn't pay out. It just didn't happen.
I was in crazy theater back around the time the first Aliens movie came out, and I remember somebody saying, in space, no one can hear you ask for extra pickle.
Okay.
And so you starved.
So, Merwin, are you ready? Oh, she says death and theme already. Hey there. Okay, all right. We can do that.
I'll try to get these shuffled
I'm going to shuffle this up and I'll give these to you.
That was such a cool reading. It really was.
Wasn't that fun? We really enjoy this. You're beam us out of here. So
take me with you. Let's call your spaceship Calgon. Take me there. For those who remember Calgon.
I don't.
Wasn't it about like bathing or something?
Oh, it's a soap or something, isn't it?
Yeah. They made a bubble bath or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Never mind. I'm too weird for her even.
His obtuse humor confuses me sometimes.
Alrighty.
She remembers. Okay.
See.
I just
take
don't.
me away. Thank you.
And it's funny because I remember a lot of commercials. I just do.
No. Okay, so this is for our friend Merwin.
All right. That is the culture, and I don't want to look at the bottoms of those cards. So I feel something right here. Merwin, the Dark Ages.
I don't have no problem believing that. But what were you doing there?
What were you doing there?
What environment? That's first. Is that the one?
Okay, we will shuffle a little more. Didn't drop any.
Okay, the environment was desert. So although it was during those so-called dark ages, you were in a more arid environment.
So again, I'm wondering about the Dark Ages, more maybe nomadic or tribal kind of people, because remember, tribal societies have been throughout civilization. So that's what I'm thinking, or maybe it's just indicative of the Dark Ages in Africa.
Right, it could be anywhere, I suppose for any
Native
kind of environment,
American?
there were dark ages. Okay, what's the next one, this one?
Well, it's more like a time period, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So this is the occupation.
Well.
Religious.
So, what was the theme?
Yeah, at least it was warm.
Toasty.
You had to moisturize more. The theme was growth. Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah,
That's
spiritual
nice.
growth and development. Very, very nice. But now we're at that point that he's going to make me pick this time.
Yes, I am.
Why does this happen again? Didn't we have this before with the desert? So, that just to me, when I'm seeing this, I don't know, I'm thinking Africa. I mean, it could be maybe something Central or South American, but I don't know why. I'm feeling an Africa vibe here.
Teresa, we'll do something for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get to you.
No, she has to leave us.
Oh!
Sorry about that. I'll be in touch with you.
Hey, Teresa, do you want us to do one? And do you want to pick like two that we look at and we'll put it at the end of the stream?
Yeah, we'll just do it at the end of the stream,
Yeah.
and then you can look it up later on our YouTube channel.
You can pick your culture, environment, occupation, theme, or termination.
If you're already gone, we'll do it for you.
Yeah. Anyway, let's look at Merwin here while we see if we
Okay,
get an
Merwin
answer.
wanted theme and...
Yes, but we're interpreting.
Oh, right.
So basically, I don't know why I'm getting a real Africa vibe here. And I feel that, that you were maybe near the water, and that is why it caused your death, or there was water around you and it caused your death, religious element to me is that you clearly were a spiritual person. It was your occupation. You were a priest or a priestess of some kind in this culture, and you were all about growth and development. You kept attaining higher levels of spiritual prowess, shall I say, and or feelings. And but unfortunately, you had an accident with water. I think it was, we would have to do, did you pick termination? Was that one of them? Yeah, theme and termination, right?
Right. I mean, even if you were in a more deserty environment, there's always water because people wouldn't live in a desert if they couldn't find water. So you may have drowned in a pool of water or somehow were exposed to cold water.
Yeah, we will look at the cards and see what we get on that. Do you want to add anything to any of these?
No, I agree with you. I think that this time period was probably, over 1,000 years ago, maybe in the African areas.
Did you shuffle?
I did.
Because I'm going to shuffle again, and I'll do them this time.
Or certainly desert areas, Mid-East, something like that. Could be Mid-East because then you have all those areas that are close to peninsulas and islets and inlets.
I didn't even think of that, Merwin. There is a residence there for me, too, that it could... I'm thinking more than, like, South American or Central, that we're talking about Middle East or Africa.
I'm getting Islamic culture maybe around, 800, 900 AD, 1000 AD. I think it existed then. So I'm wondering if that's the possibility there too. Maybe you were an original person who was trying to proselytize or share that information and you fell into a river and drowned or something.
Okay, Teresa said death and culture, so we will put it
Thank you,
there.
Teresa. I hope your husband is well, and we will do that.
We'll put it at the end of the stream.
So yeah, just check
so
it out.
So we'll do Kayla
the last
next,
10 or so minutes of the stream.
Kayla was next anyway. So
that's right.
All right, Merwin, here we go. Theme.
King of Swords reversed.
Well, that's interesting since you're all about growth and the Two of Cups reversed.
The theme of your life could have been that you had political intrigues or intrigues because if you were a religious leader of some sort, let's say you were the head person in that religion, but you still had to interface with the ruling line, there was always an idea of a partnership between religion and the actual authority. So I'm thinking that the theme of your life was that you were sort of in disharmony with the ruling party. You were trying to advance causes and they were like, can't you tone that down? Can't you do this? They didn't really necessarily favor you, but they weren't really, because of maybe your position, they couldn't necessarily deal with you easily.
Yeah, I feel that you were somebody who was very, you were maybe all about growth and getting more developed spiritually, but you were not one to really take advice from others and also to take orders from others. You had a certain world or spiritual view, and you were kind of narrow in that focus. And you kept developing it to higher levels, but it really was kind of narrow focused. And I feel that, I kind of agree with you that there was some disagreements and friction between, the people that you belong to, the culture or the civilization you belong to.
Right. And do you get any feel at all that maybe this was like Mideast Islamic possibly?
Well, that does resonate. Okay. I think that's highly possible, but
So, yeah, and you're right. You don't look a day over 500.
So I feel like you were probably a man in this lifetime.
Yeah.
I do think that there's male energy here, and so I'm definitely going to go with that.
Well, if you were in some cultures, you couldn't be religiously authoritative or in charge without being a man, unless you go back, a couple more 1,000 years. Of course, we all know that. So then how did it all end for you? Well, my thought without seeing those cards is that you were such an irritant to them that they led you to someplace and pushed you in the river maybe. They knew you couldn't swim.
Well, I've got more positive cards here, so I'm not sure about that. But we have the sun. Which is interesting because it's a desert environment. So I almost feel that this happened to you... Oh, I hate to say this, but in a waking state, you were certainly awake, you felt this passing.
And swift.
And it was swift. I think it was swift. That's
8 of Wands.
I don't know why I didn't think of that, but yeah, I think it was swift.
So it could be, like I said, that maybe there was an intrigue and maybe somebody pushed you into the river because they knew you couldn't swim.
Or it was accidental, but I do feel you were conscious at the time and you drowned.
Maybe, you were
the sun. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
in the act of reverence of some sort too.
Possibly. I feel that, I was going to say something.
Oh, wow, you can't swim. Wow.
Oh, and I feel that. I felt you weren't able to swim here and get out. But what they say about water deaths is that they're often very peaceful. When they take bodies out of the water, they look fairly calm and at peace and not like tortured deaths. And I have heard this. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I have heard. So it's almost as if you went, kind of peacefully, and suddenly your spirit went on to the light.
Swim towards the light or struggle that way.
And maybe that's what it was too. You were trying to, because when you're looking up, you do see the light from the water, reflecting, and maybe you were very close, but you didn't make it. So sorry about that. But I think it was overall, I don't think it was a bad life, but I do think on some levels you were just a little bit judgmental and critical in the way that you focused your religiosity and your spirituality.
Yeah.
You felt it was kind of a one way or the highway thing, and you were very knowledgeable. You were very much into growth and development.
Well, it may be possible that in this particular time and circumstance, you were trying to put religion higher in the community structure than maybe authoritative things, governmental things. And so I get the feeling like government sort of thought of you as irritating and they were glad to get rid of you, maybe.
Well, the only other possibility here is that there was a catastrophic flood of some sort, and because it was a deserty kind of existence,
Not as likely.
I'm not thinking it's as likely as an accidental drowning.
But maybe you were sailing across one of the bays and a storm came up and your boat went down.
Yeah, highly
like
possible as well. Maybe you were out on a ship communing with, some gods or power, and there was a problem.
So very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you.
As we know, this is all speculative fun.
The days of our many lives.
Hey, Kayla. It is your turn.
Hi, Kayla. I'm not real big on drowning either. I can swim, but I've almost drowned one time when I was a kid, and it was really scary.
Okay.
You're welcome, Kayla.
So I'll pass these to you, and you could do this part next after you shuffle.
Okay, and then I just have these two to shuffle.
So who picked the death? It was me, so this time is your turn. Maybe you can pick a different death. Hey, you're welcome, Merwin.
You are welcome. So I have to pick death?
You will.
All right. Who picks Ak? Or first one?
It doesn't matter. I think you could.
It's me because it's even numbered.
Yeah.
So spread them.
Okay. I don't like the way you said that.
I'm sure you didn't. You're welcome.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it, Merwin. It's fun. Fun stuff.
Oh.
It's the Dark Ages again.
You were in the Dark Ages too, Kayla. But where? Your environment. A forest. So probably Europe, maybe. Who knows?
Could be.
And Dark Ages are generally
this is you to do for me.
circa about 800, 700
Wait,
in
no.
that range.
Actually,
It's okay. I'll just take one then.
pull one.
And your occupation was agriculture, so we've had that before. Banshee thinks that's sort of incongruous, but I don't. I could see that basically adjacent to forest areas, people have fields.
Well, and people
meadows.
clear out foresty areas, so I almost wonder if it could. Well, they were. I don't think they were doing that in that era. But let's just wait. Let's see what else we get before I go into possible environment.
Theme of your life.
Uh-oh, it's come up again.
Oh dear, betrayal. And then because I'm Scorpio, apparently.
Well, I know I'm the Banshee and I should be the harbinger of, demise, but you are a Scorpio, Mr. O.
Even though you were betrayed in your life, that was the theme. There was a catastrophe. Something big that possibly took out a number of people. So let's look at that.
Okay, so let's take a look here. We have the Dark Ages. So what are you thinking? European? I'm thinking possibly European.
Possibly European because the environment is forest. So it's European. It could be the UK. It could be even possibly in American areas because there are many forested areas and people lived there during that time period over 1,000 years ago. Your occupation was agriculture, and once again, if you live near a forest and are in these Dark Age times, most people were probably working on fields and doing agricultural things, whether they did them for their own life or whether they did them for a lord or a feudal, situation or that kind of thing. But the theme of your life was betrayal, which maybe meant that there were just a lot of people who you couldn't trust or didn't trust. And maybe likewise, maybe people didn't trust you. Maybe people felt there were problems with you. Maybe they felt you treated them poorly for the work you did with agriculture or cheated them. Finally, what we feel is that some sort of catastrophe happened in that life. So maybe it could have been an earthquake or something that was devastating to a number of lives.
Oh, I'll take those.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, we want them.
We do. So basically in the Dark Ages, I'm not sure why, but I'm having a sense that it was kind of, what am I trying to say? Like Slavic. I don't know why I'm coming up with Slavic cultures here. So I'm going to go with that. In a forested area, in a Slavic culture.
Lithuania was entirely forest for hundreds of years.
And, of course, I think there was some clearing of some areas for agriculture and growth. And farming was very important here. There was some betrayal, for some reason when I see this, I'm not sure. So is that something you wanted information on? You did put yours down there.
Theme
Death and occupation. Okay, well, it might come up there. We'll see. I don't know. When I'm seeing this betrayal, though, with the theme, I'm wondering if it has something to do with your personal life as opposed to, say, your occupation or what you did.
Oh, I see, yeah. I sort of threw it that way.
And this, I'm not sure. I don't obviously think it was a volcano, but I do think it could have been maybe if, sometimes there's foresty areas around mountains, so it could be an avalanche. But I get the feeling that it was more like it's possibly a fire situation, that there was a forest fire. But let's see.
Okay, so first we're going to do occupation.
Yeah.
Here, I'll let you pull them.
Oh, and you are Welsh. Interesting. European and from UK. Ah. Oh, that came up before, but that one did not. It's interesting, too. Okay, so occupation. You just, the Nine of Wands, you worked very, very hard. It was laborious work that you did. And, oftentimes, you would sit back and just lament over it, I feel, it was a struggle.
You felt it was your lot in life and you didn't really see yourself moving beyond that. You sort of felt that's what you did. You were that kind of person working those fields.
But I will say that regardless of, the difficulties, the harshness of the work itself, it was a pretty stable life for you. The two is a card of balance, and it seems like that's what you stuck with doing most of your life, most of this life.
You had an acceptance of this as your life, and it could mostly be because really there were not many other life choices available. So it does sound like it is dark ages somewhere in the more European or whatever context, because there were mostly just lords and barons who owned property, and everybody else worked on the property.
The Nine of Wands and the Two of Swords. Interesting. And so what else do we have? What was it again?
Death.
It was death. So death. And it was water, right?
Catastrophe.
Oh, catastrophe. Fire, right.
Well, you said fire.
I did. Well, catastrophe. So let's look at that. Maybe we can get a little more depth on this.
The Five of Cups reversed.
Okay. And?
The Queen of Pentacles upright. I'm wondering if basically somebody wanted to make big changes in things. Maybe they were a ruler, they were connected to a ruler, and they ended up kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Maybe, I can't say how ambitious of a project this could have been that could have caused a catastrophe.
Yeah, catastrophe is something that affects more than just you. So you weren't the only one who died in this.
Right.
Well, I look at the Queen of Pentacles and, I get that farming element here. I wonder, and the Five of Cups reversed, it's like somebody wanted more. It almost seems like maybe overdevelopment of the fields were involved here, so that I don't know if back in those days they actually used fire to try to clear land to, create farmland.
Well, here's another thought. How about a catastrophe where maybe land is no longer arable because it had been centuries of use, and you were at that time where maybe the land had pretty much outlived it. There's a whole thing about that.
I like what you're saying there, but the only reason I didn't go that way is because of this and this. The Five of Cups reversed is kind of a card of seeking new opportunities or more growth, more things, more of something. And this is upright, and it's like, again, it's a card of farming and wealth and attainment.
Opportunities in a way.
And so I almost get the feeling it's because somebody wanted more. They had to clear out more land, more growth for farming. And I don't know if they did it via fire, clear land with fire. But it backfired and people burned up. I almost think it was a catastrophe that was man-made.
If it wasn't even fire necessarily, I could see where maybe there's a possibility that certain things that were done created something of a change. So, yes. For example...
where your thing could fall in.
We have overhunted predators so that now deer and other animals have over proliferated and have caused other problems. Maybe it's a situation like that where the balance
was off,
was changed, because and this caused the catastrophe to happen.
What you said previously about maybe they grew the same crops on the land too many times and then suddenly it failed. So mass starvation.
Not suddenly, it's usually but see, I'm
Right.
just saying they came at the end of that period. Then.
Mass starvation could be is obviously a catastrophe, a man-made one as well. I think we're both in agreement on one thing, that it was probably a man-made catastrophe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we're 1/2 hour over overtime, but we're still
okay. We got one more
still
reading.
burning our engines here.
We got one more reading and we're done.
That was fantastic. I hope you liked that, Kayla.
Yeah, Kayla. It was interesting. I hope it resonates somewhat with you. It sounds like it. I see you talked about your European heritage there.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. That maybe, they were in an era of diminishing returns on the agriculture. The other thing, too, would be that if it's medieval times, maybe there were people who came in and said, hey, you guys all work for us now, and we're only going to give you this amount. I mean, maybe they were starved because the catastrophe was really how renegades or outlaws took over the area and or enforced a different kind of rule on people. I mean, maybe somebody was overthrown and then everybody that inhabited that had to be more stringent because they owed more fealty to the new lord.
I was just opening up some other possibilities in my mind here about demise. If it is a natural catastrophe, I almost feel like there's a potential water could have been involved because you were in a foresty area. Rivers and streams can overflow, which could take out communities as well. So it could be that kind of a natural thing. And if it's fire that's involved, well, let's look at California. I mean, there are times where there are periods of drought where the land dries out and forests catch fire. And so it could be one of those scenarios as well.
A warming earth, a dried out forest.
Yeah.
And Dr. Victor, we are doing great. We're almost over, though. We're just doing one last reading for one more person.
Yeah, we're just doing our
But thank you for your happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you. It's always good to see you here. We're just doing past life readings for fun today. And it's been fun.
Yeah, we ended up in a half an hour or more overtime, so.
Does that bother you?
No, it doesn't. Not that much.
It's because you keep saying it. I'm concerned.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave that impression. All right, so this is our final reading for Teresa, and we're sorry that you're not able to view it, but we did arrange to give that to you, so we're going to go ahead and do that.
I'm going to let you shuffle this because I want to look up what Teresa said she wanted again. Us to explore.
I think it was culture.
Death and culture.
Yeah.
So, Teresa, this is for you.
So this time you pull the first card and therefore the last card.
Yeah, we've done this twice now, and we've done a pop-up live stream with just an unusual topic, and both times, just because of the time of year, we did past lives. And it's been a pretty fun reading.
Yes.
For people.
And who knows, maybe we'll figure out how to market this one more and then people could
It's a way to do storytelling. Someday we may offer parties where we can do this on Zoom, for a group of people. So stay tuned for that.
So the first card is Teresa's, the culture that Teresa lived in.
Yes. Okay, explain to me the word because I forget. I know it's in here.
Proto-historic. This is saying that Teresa lives in Atlantis way back when.
Is that it?
Yes.
Proto-historic is part of... Okay.
This could go with the aliens. So maybe Teresa and E.T. knew each other way back when.
I'll look it up in a minute, but I wanted to see. Occupation starts on page 60. It's so hard to find things here. The book is a little bit, but it's the way it's organized. What number is that?
16.
Mr. O, what number is
16.
that? 16. Did I pull that card?
Yes, you did.
I did.
You said, I don't know what it means.
Okay, so I'm looking it up. 16 isn't even in here. I'm in the wrong part. Okay, I'm in occupation, so I don't know what's going on. This
Well, I told you what it was because I did see it.
I want to look it up. All right.
Buzzkill.
Yeah, I am.
Showstopper.
I am. What you gonna do?
What card is this? This is the
don't you
environment.
Know? What happened to my little slip of paper?
So your segment of Atlantis had a nice little forest on it.
It's here. I wonder why they have these mixed up. You're supposed to hold one for me to pull now, I think. So don't look at me. Oh, it was page 80. My bad. Some librarian, me.
No
Proto-historic.
No comment.
Rose later then and ran parallel to the prehistoric culture.
Proto-historic means it was like before history was recorded, but after prehistoric.
Got it.
So that's why Atlantis.
You know. Gotcha. Well, even though they may have been an advanced culture, there still was wars and a military. So, oh my gosh. So, Teresa, you were part of the military. And so the theme is up next. Teresa's our last reading for the day.
Okay, the theme of your life was about love and indifference.
Ah.
So you vacillated between these poles.
Not necessarily.
Well,
I think it's an either or. I think they put it there because it could be, but it's also could be an either or scenario.
Right, your life was about a lot of love, or your life was about being indifferent
You
to
could
love.
take it or leave it. And being in the military, maybe you did have kind of a cold heart and you were not involved.
So how did you pass? Oh, is it me?
I'll do it. I'll do it, Mr. O. I've got something there. Doesn't want to come out. Maybe it's not right. Oh, it's another accident.
So, Teresa, you wound up having an accident that took your life.
So it wasn't necessarily that you were slain, but you had an accident.
Proto-historic seems to be the idea that maybe somewhere between 20, 30, 40,000 years ago and 10,000 or so when recorded history actually seems to start, you were in some sort of civilization or existence that was outside of history, but after the true prehistoric era.
I have a time period here.
Go on.
It says it's the period between approximately 200,000 BCE to the sudden catastrophic end of the last ice age, about 9600 BCE. The Greenland Glacier ice cores point to 9645 BCE as the most likely year in which this event took place.
So wherever in that era you lived, and we're still talking about close to 200,000 years ago.
It is highly possible that landmass does not exist anymore. Is that correct? Or is underwater?
Right. I mean, and 200,000 years ago is not exactly glacial or geologic time, but if there was a catastrophe that sunk a continent or island, it could have been that long ago.
It doesn't seem you were a part of that time period, or at least part of that catastrophe. So you lived in a foresty area, woodsy area in this environment. You were part of the military. You either maintained order in the society or you fought rivaling cultures. And it seems to me, I'm really going to go out on a limb here. I feel you were a male in this life and that you did not have a relationship.
Or you were indifferent to it, so you just didn't have close relationships. You may have been, as some soldiers, a user of women.
Rape and pillage, right. In other words, it was a very cold heart as opposed to somebody who was, involved with someone.
If you were male and in the military, women were just things to you. And you died by an accident.
There was an accident. It could have been a fall. It could have been a drowning. It could be any number of things. I'm not getting a beat on that, but I think that was one of the things you wanted.
Death and culture.
Death and culture.
So the culture was proto-historic. Oh, this ought to be fun, right?
I know. Well, let's see what we get. Wow. Well, got the Nine of Cups reversed, which is interesting. And then we have the Wheel reversed. So again, the Wheel came up before reversed. And I feel like this is saying that this was some very turbulent times.
Right.
Maybe where people were very unhappy with the resources or things in their life. So it might have been a time where there was more war and strife, where people were grappling for each other's resources.
A lot of times when they talk about the proto-civilization of Atlantis, they act like it was a utopia, a golden age. But other people have said, well, there's always haves and have-nots. And so the thing is that this may have been an era that was a have-not, that there was just some upheavals. Maybe the natural world was changing back then, various things happening. Maybe the ice age that was happening was still there, inhibiting parts of the world's progress. So clearly, of course, this draws to the idea of you being a soldier, because there's a turbulent time. There's a time where maybe order needed to be reestablished.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to be a little bit more dark about this. I feel that this might have been a time where you were involved in a culture that wasn't as advanced as a nearby culture was, and you weren't as happy about that, and you were trying to take them down because you wanted what they had. You wanted the society and things that they had. But oftentimes what happens is, you take out the intelligentsia and you take out the people in the culture that made it what it was, and what are you left with? Barbarism and more lack of what you really wanted and desired.
Well, my going out on a limb will just say that maybe you lived in and near one of these more advanced cultures, but you were part of a grubby outfit and you were a sort of barbarian. And so your military lifestyle was really just the normal lifestyle of being a barbarian. Maybe we're really talking about civilized versus uncivilized, and you may have been part of a group of uncivilized folks. You're indifferent, you're involved in, more warlike activities. So you're not exactly the kind of person that we know you to be, in a way.
You're going to love this one. So the termination and what happened. I feel you died alone again. I feel that. I feel like this was an accident that happened to you on your own. Nobody else was involved. And then we got the Page of Cups reversed, and I have an idea, but I want to see what Mr. O goes with on this one. I think you were young.
Yeah.
I don't think this was a very long life for you.
Yeah, I didn't know that that's what you wanted me to pick up or not, but
no, there's something else.
Well, was it an accident? No.
It was an accident.
Where
it's
is
there.
That? Okay. I don't see it.
Did we put it away by mistake? There.
Okay,
so those cards.
A youthful folly thing, right?
Yes. I almost feel like maybe you were drunk. Maybe you were not, maybe it was something where you didn't get enough sleep. It was carelessness of some sort that, and possibly through some youthful indiscretion, maybe you were trying to show off, and but although I would think that would be more Page of Wands like, so I'm feeling it was more like being drunk, inebriated, or maybe not fully awake or aware, and you had an accident.
Well, the other thing too would be that I like the idea of youthful folly, and that maybe if there was this competing, more advanced civilization, that you guys were always at odds with each other, and maybe you decided to throw some bricks at their guard gate or something like that, and somebody returned fire of some sort, and that's how the accident happened. You were goofing off with your friends or something like that, and it wasn't an earnest thing.
They were alone. They were alone.
Yeah, you were alone. Okay, so
I don't think that had anything to do with it, but Yeah.
That's interesting.
So male, short life, in war, in the military, and an accidental death through some, careless or callous youthful behavior.
Yes.
Wow, Teresa. So that's what we have for you. And I know you're not here, but I hope you enjoyed that reading and come back for more.
Yeah,
and this is so much fun. It stretches our imaginations. We get a little feisty, but that's okay. He says maybe. And we go overtime because we have so much fun getting into these stories.
Boy, did we go overtime.
We did. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And remember, we will be on live Sunday at our normal time, 2 to 4
what else
p.m.
is going on tomorrow?
Oh, what else indeed? I think I'm filming it right after this. The Material Matters segment.
But yes, we will be back tomorrow live at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can join us.
Yeah. So it's been fun spending the morning, late morning, early afternoon
Thank you, my
with
sweet
you
Christina.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And we'll see you all really soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.